Welcome to the Women Talk podcast, where ordinary women share their extraordinary stories. We would love for you to share your story on our podcast. Go to www.womentalk.ca and apply to share your story. And now let's welcome your host, founder, and CEO of Women Talk, Bridget Lessard-Diel.
Welcome back to the Women Talk Show, where women make their communities stronger one story at a time. Today, I am talking to a true warrior. A warrior who has such unbelievable grits and power, it will blow your mind. Her name is Sylvie van Steenoven. Sylvie has been battling cancer for 13 years. Her original diagnosis was breast cancer, and she's currently battling her 7th recurrence. At one point, cancer metastasized in her lungs, and she was given 3 to 6 months. 5 years ago. Her newly diagnosed cancer is a brain tumor. She believes you can't follow someone else's countdown and believe there is only one person who knows when you're going. So live your life. Truly live it every day, because the next hour is not guaranteed. And be you, because everyone else is already taken. Let's listen to Sylvie's story. Welcome back to the Women Talk Show, where women make their communities stronger one story at a time. Today, I am talking to a true warrior, a woman of such deep grits it is going to blow your mind. Sylvie van Steenoven has been battling cancer for 13 years. Her original diagnosis was breast cancer, and she's currently battling her 7th recurrence. At one point, cancer metastasized in her lungs, and she was given 3 to 6 months. 5 years ago. Her newly diagnosed cancer is brain tumor. She believes you cannot follow someone else's countdown and believe there is only one person who knows when you're going. So live your life. Truly live it every day, because the next hour is not guaranteed. And be you, because everyone else is already taken. Let's listen to Sylvie's story.
My name is Sylvie van Steenoven. I'm a 7-time cancer survivor. And at the time of speaking about this, I'm actually going through my 8th diagnosis with a brand new tumor to the front left lobe in my head. So in 2005, at the age of 35, I was first diagnosed with breast cancer. 2 very small tumors, stage 0, did a lumpectomy, unfortunately, and that's just where they take a piece of your breast out. And I did not get clear margins, which means they test the outer limit of what they take out. And there was cancer cells. So we need to get clear margins. So at that point, you need to decide, do you do another lumpectomy and take some more tissue out, or do you just remove the breast completely? So at that time, I had chose to remove the breast completely. And that was in December of 2005, which was kind of cool because it was my turn to host Christmas dinner. So I got away without having to make any Christmas dinner. I got to watch everyone else do everything in my house while I got to milk getting the mastectomy. So that was kind of cool. And then I was actually told after I healed from that I should do 20 rounds of chemotherapy. So I was kind of confused because I was stage 0, no lymphatic involvement. I did the drastic measure of removing my breast. So I thought, why are you suggesting for me to do chemotherapy? And his exact words were, because I was young and I could take it. And yes, you heard that right. I was young and I could take it. So don't throw me statistics or anything, but just tell me because I'm young and I can take it. did not sit well with me at all. So I went for a second opinion. The second opinion told me that I should consider tamoxifen because my cancer cells were ERPR positive, which is estrogen receptor positive, and progesterone receptor positive, which means they feed off your hormones. So I did tamoxifen for 4.5 years, and then I ended up getting another recurrence. And I'm thinking, you removed my breast, how does it come back in the same place when you removed everything? But it came back. So then again, I did not want to do chemotherapy or radiation. So I started to seek alternative treatments, started to see a doctor in Santa Monica, which I still see to this day. And we got rid of it completely. Then in 2012, it came back again in the same area of the initial breast tissue, which again is kind of mind-boggling because they scraped to my rib cage, scraped pretty much down to my hip bone, and then scraped all the way up to my armpit, removing basically everything they could from there. So how it comes back, you know, you got this little hidden bugger that comes back. So fast forward through that prognosis. So now I'm stage 1 because now there's lymphatic involvement. And I decide to do radiation. It didn't sit well with me, but I thought I got to do something. I have to add something else. So in 2012, I did 15 rounds of radiation. And 6.5 months later, I end up in the hospital and I am now stage 4. My lungs are completely full. I need to have a tube in my side that drains all the fluid from my lungs. I had that in there for months. So I had nurses come 3 times a week to drain that. And so in my mind, I believe that the radiation actually let it spread like wildfire. That's just my opinion. Doesn't mean I'm right or wrong. And so that was actually in August of 2013. And that is when they actually gave me 3 to 6 months to live. And after the initial shock and the mad and the pissed off and the you name it, the emotions that we're all allowed to have when you go through a diagnosis, I got my kick-ass shoes on and said, I've got kids and a husband. I don't have time to be sick. We need to do what we got to do. So obviously it's now 2018. So I've passed the 5-year mark of their 3 to 6 months. And in the last 5 years, it's been extremely hard. It's been, I have done a total of 49 chemotherapies. I did not do more radiation. I just did the radiation that I initially did in 2012. I have had 6 surgeries to my right side. So from 2013 to now, with the chemo, I did 9 series, got rid of it, and I was okay for about 6 months. It came back, did another 18, it went away, it came back, did another 18, it went away, and then it came back. And then this go around, so at the moment, at the time before this new diagnosis of the 7th recurrence, which makes it the 8th time, I still have it in my lungs, and I have a tumor that's in my brachial plexus, which is your connection from your shoulder to your arm. So that feeds the blood supply to my arm. And at the moment, I have completely lost the muscle and use of my right hand. So I'm learning to do everything with my left. So my son actually got sick, and the neurovirus went through the house, and I ended up in the hospital, and they thought it was a little bit more serious than a neurovirus. So they did a brain CT, and then this is when they found this new tumor. And that is where we are right now. And I'm about to leave on Tuesday, actually, to go back to my alternative doctor in LA, and gonna see what he says that we should do. And by then I will come back and have all the results from the scans I've done over the last 2 weeks. And then we'll have a plan. So when you have a plan, you can put stuff in motion. When you don't have a plan, that's when you panic and you get scared and A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right? So that is where we are at the moment. We are putting a plan together, get some kick-ass shoes on, and we'll just kick it for the 8th time, because that's how I roll.
Do you want more out of Women Talk? Sign up for our Women Talk membership today. Receive discounts at all of our live events, talk on more stages, receive free monthly webinars, or host a webinar yourself. Join this powerful sisterhood we call Women Talk. Visit womentalk.ca/membership to join at 70% off for a limited time only.
You are a warrior. Wow. That is just where do you find the strength to keep fighting this?
You know, honestly, Bridget, people ask me this all the time. And I honestly believe every single one of us has that piece in us somewhere. And when we need to dig it out to survive, we find it. Because if you don't, you're done.
Yeah. And I think there are people that do die because they just don't find that piece, you know, like it's one thing to have that piece, maybe it's another to be able to find it 8 times.
For sure. And you know what, don't get me wrong. I mean, you've seen some of my videos, right? I post the good, the bad, and the ugly. And even you have asked me that sometimes. You're like, Sylvie, you share like some pretty dark things. Mm-hmm. And it made me think, like, why am I sharing that? And it's because I want people to know that it's okay that we think on the dark side sometimes. It's okay that we say, you know what, I am done with this pain and I just maybe don't want to be here anymore. Not that you're going to act on it, but you're allowed to just be in that moment, but you just can't unpack there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So be in the moment and get out of it, but we're allowed to be there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's why I share it, because I don't want people to think, oh, cancer's easy peasy and there's nothing to it. And it's flipping hard, especially this long, right?
How did it feel like the very first time you heard those words, you have cancer?
I actually knew before they told me.
How?
And I don't know. Everybody in the house was sick. Everybody had a cold and my chest was really sore. And I said to my husband, there's something wrong. And he's like, well, what do you think? And I'm like, you're going to think I'm really dumb, but I think it's cancer. And he's like, whatever. So I did biopsy, blah, blah, blah. And it came back. And I remember when I got home and I said, babe, guess what? And he's like, what? And I literally was taking our 3-year-old that we just adopted out of the car. And I said, yeah, they said it's positive. It's breast cancer. And he like came over and he was like, babe. And I'm like, oh, babe, I don't got time. Like,
Mama don't got time for this shit.
No, we just adopted this 3-year-old. We have another son. I don't have time to be sick. We're going to do whatever we need to do. And we're going to continue on.
Wow.
And you have to. Bridget.
But a lot of people don't.
You know what? Everybody that I know that has been given a time limit, that has focused on that time limit, is dead.
Yeah. Do you think doctors should tell you that you only have X amount of time?
Never. Because you know what? Here's my thinking. You need a 1% chance to survive. As long as you have 1% in life, you can be that 1%.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get 15%, people are like, oh my gosh, it's so low, 15% that I might not be here in 5 years. I'm thinking 15%? Dang, you need 1. If you've got 1, you're ahead of somebody that didn't wake up this morning. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
And
tell me about your alternative medicine. First of all, why you went that route, and what is it? What do you do that has kept you alive through 8 rounds?
So I actually picked up a book by Suzanne Summers, and she wrote in there about this doctor, Michael Gallitzer. And it really resonated with me. And I looked him up, looked on his website, and then I did a phone consult with him. And then my husband and I went to see him, and both of us fell in love with him. He did not sugarcoat anything. He told me we need to find out why it came to begin with. Not just let's fix it, but why did it come? So he wanted to get to that. And right away I was like, well, they're not talking to me about that at Tom Baker. Like at Tom Baker, they're just about, here's your treatment, go do it.
Yeah.
But I want to know why it came so that I can try to fix it so it doesn't come back.
And what was the result of that? What do they think? Why do they think it came in the first place?
So, and this is where I am so careful with what I share and with who, because a lot of people will think I've got like a dozen heads. Do you know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing though. You have been alive and gone through 8, so you have to have some knowledge. Like exactly. You're an experienced warrior, sister.
And I've been to a lot of different clinics in the US, right? All the way from LA, all the way to Florida. I have spent almost $75,000 in alternative treatment, learning about why it comes, why it stays. And the biggest thing is stress and what has happened with me as a child. So I had not a very good upbringing, and I carry a lot of that now that has to do with my mom. And I learned, especially when I went to the clinic in Florida for 3 weeks, there I learned that on a cellular level, your body, you know this, like, you know, when you focus on like a dream board or all that, and you repeat affirmations to yourself daily and every time you do that and say that, you literally are changing on a cellular level. And this is what people don't get, because you get diagnosed with cancer and it's just the scare thing. But I've dug the deeper side of it, right? Mm-hmm. So I learned that by staying in that negative for so long and never dealing with all the things that have happened, and it doesn't mean I have to deal with it as in, you know, go to counseling for 5 months or whatever.
Just don't bury it.
Right.
Don't bury it and try to keep it from coming out.
Exactly. And when I am on it, as in when I meditate, when I do my affirmations and I write in my journal and I try to keep as positive thinking as I can, and I eat extremely clean, it always goes away. Always. When I fall back on the wagon and I get stressed out and I fall back in the pity party, pity me, and I don't eat well and I don't exercise, etc., it always comes back.
But let's face it, you must have some pity party at some point in time.
Of course you do.
That's like a tough battle, man. How many years has it been now that you're
13?
13 years.
Yeah, beginning of November will be 13 years. I was diagnosed in November of 2005.
That is just crazy. But you do some really amazing thing. Now tell me about your shoes.
So every single time we did chemotherapy, I always had people with me. I always had my tribe with me. There was always, 3 or 4 girls with me, and we always wore kick-ass shoes. And I'm talking, they were either glitzy or like 6-inch heels, or they were thigh-high boots, and that's how we walked into chemo. And I would do chemo weekly. So the nurses would literally be, on Friday, they're like, Sylvie's coming in, wonder what her and her tribe are wearing. And we literally would like walk side by side in the hallway, traipsing, walking to the chemo department. And it was, the nurses would literally come and they'd be like, what are you wearing today? And I'd stick my foot in the air, right? And I'm like, I'm wearing these. And
that is just amazing. Well, you know what? I'm going to venture to voice my opinion. Not that I have any experience, but I believe that one of your keys to success is that tribe. I think that it is so powerful to have these women or men and women, not women, but anyone, a tribe around you. Like you can, like, do you get energy from them? Like what does it mean to you to have a tribe? What does it do for you?
You can't survive without a tribe. You can't. There is no way that I would be where I am today if it wasn't for all the people that I have in my life that help. And even the people that are no longer in my life because they couldn't stay or it was too hard or whatever their reason for not being in my life, I still take those as a blessing because I take it that they were with me when it was needed to be with me, when they were needed. But there is no way. You can't do this road alone. There's no way.
No.
There is no way. So it means everything, like everything for people to be, and not even that they know because they've been through it, but they just want to support. Like they just want to wear kick-ass shoes with me one day.
Yeah.
Or you know what I mean? Like,
and I think that's the thing. It's not all about crying and feeling bad, and it's about empowering each other.
Yeah, we were like styling in Tom Baker.
Love it.
We would
It's
bring
brilliant.
The guitar, we would sing. We would get other people singing. We would have so many people say, like, we've never come to chemo and laughed. And I'm like, then that's a big piece of the puzzle that's missing. Because we're scared when we're in chemo. Let's not sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
You're fighting for your freaking life. So if we're not able to laugh with the 60 other people that are there or sing with them or just give them a hug even, right? I mean, those things are priceless. You don't know if that person that you just gave a hug to or just sang with totally out of key, because, I'm not like Colleen Calba and can sing.
But that makes two of us.
Right. But the point is that the gesture was there. And you don't know what that means to somebody, So you gotta.
It's beautiful.
You gotta share. You gotta laugh. You gotta cry. You gotta be scared. But you can't, in the dark spots, you can't unpack and live there. You gotta find the people to help you pull out of those. And then you gotta traipse on.
But you have to allow yourself to get there. And then just like, I love that. Don't unpack there. It's brilliant. Love it. Okay. So before we go,
yes.
If you had to give one piece of advice to someone who tomorrow gets diagnosed with cancer, what would it be?
I would tell them that they don't need to make a decision on treatment today. Take the time to research. And if something doesn't resonate with you, trust that. We get so disconnected from our God-given intuition. And I think if we stuck with what our gut actually said, like if someone says you need to do radiation and in your gut you're like, ooh, it doesn't stick with me, then don't do it. If they say do radiation and in your head you're like, you know what? I actually think that it's going to work. Then it will, because that's where your willpower is, because you're believing it's going to work. So
how do you deal with the doctors that tell you because I think they can get pretty insistent at times when it comes to chemo and radiation.
Absolutely. And
how did you deal with that?
I have bunked heads with I'm on my third oncologist. She's been my oncologist for 10 years now, but she's my third one. And her and I have butted heads a lot because she didn't like that I was mixing alternative. And I sat and said with her, I don't need you to be in my court with what I'm doing, but I need you to respect what I'm doing. Because if I believe it's going to work, that is more power for me. That's more power I'm giving my body to fight because I believe it. So don't take that away from me. Yeah, and then her and I, and now, because she knows I'm really against radiation to the head, and she actually said that. And she said, I know you're totally against it, but there's this new thing. And then, you know what? She actually shocked me. She said, Sylvie, I really think this is going to be a Band-Aid solution for you. And I said to her, I looked at her and I said, well, hang on a sec. What do you mean by Band-Aid? And she said, listen, I gave you 3 to 6 months over 5 years ago. And she said, if there's anybody that can kick this to the curb, it's you. My money is on you. And she got teary-eyed. I got teary-eyed. My husband got teary-eyed. And I thought, holy crap. Like, she has never said, and she gave the okay for me to fly. Because it's not, I mean, a brain tumor isn't, you know, it's not, oh, I mean, it's small, so it's okay to fly, but you got to be careful, right?
Yeah.
But she knows how much he means to me, my doctor in LA. And yeah, she gave the blessing, and I literally.
Well, how can she argue with you?
I mean, I would go anyways, right?
But seriously, like,
Yeah.
wow.
But for her to say that, for her to say, like, I really believe with everything that you have been through, I really think this is just a quick boom, boom, boom. And you're going to still be here in 5 years talking to me. And I said, no, in 5 years, we're burning the cancer card. We're not keeping the cancer card.
Yeah.
I'm having a burning party.
I'm done. Well, you are an amazing, amazing woman. You are powerful. You are a warrior, sister.
No, thank
And thank you. And I hope that one day you do write your book and you do put a program together to help many people who cannot find the road like you have.
Yeah.
I think people get stuck in the dark when they receive the diagnosis. They're just frozen and petrified and in the dark, and they can't seem to find a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you have.
You know what? I'm trying. And yeah,
Well, you're not trying. You have.
I'm doing it.
And you have been doing it. Like, you were given, 3, and you found a way out. You found the road out of that, that province.
And I'm just going to share this last thing with you really quick. My energy healer that I see in Longview, I said to her, because she just got re-diagnosed also for the 3rd time with cancer. And I said to her, like, how are people going to come to us and ask us for advice when we keep getting cancer? And she just really calmly I was on her bed for a session, and she puts her hands on my feet and she said, Sylvie, do you want to go with someone and listen to someone who has walked the walk? Or do you just want to go with someone who just talks the talk?
Yeah.
And I looked at her and I was like, what? And she goes, think about it. Are you going to go to a personal trainer that weighs 200 pounds and is fat? And that's where you're going to learn your workouts from? Are you going to go learn cancer things from someone who has been there, done it, and is still here? And it was really an aha for me, because I thought, how can I help other people? And I keep getting diagnosed.
Well, maybe that is why. My favorite saying, and I say it all the time, life happens for you, not to you.
Amen.
So maybe there's something there, right? That you are here for a certain purpose. And maybe it is. I can tell you that if I get a cancer diagnosis tomorrow, God forbid, I will be ringing you and asking you for advice.
I'd be at your door. You wouldn't have time to come to my house.
Well, thank you, Sylvie. You are just a light. You are incredible. And again, you, sister, are a warrior.
No, thank you. I love you.
And I'm
really.
very happy to have you in my tribe.
No, I am blessed to be in your tribe, and I feel the same way about you. I love you dearly.
Have a great day.
You too, honey. Bye-bye.
Bye.
If you have a burning desire to share your story with our audience, apply to be on our podcast. To apply and find a full list of our podcasts, go to www.womentalk.ca.